Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place that takes dense source material, pulls out the key stuff, and basically gives you the shortcut to knowing what's what.
Mm.
Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating, maybe a bit controversial. It's the psychology of persuasion, attraction, seduction, really, based on sources that treat it like a, a deliberate skill, almost cold-blooded.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at sources that really strip away all the fuzzy romantic stuff.
Okay.
They frame it completely differently. Not about looks or luck, but pure psychology, like an art of war. But for delicate situations.
Art of war for delicate times.
Wow. And the core idea we're exploring is that success here means seeing life, or at least these interactions, as a kind of theater, a strategic game.
Okay, let's jump right in there because these sources make a really sharp distinction, almost cynical, between what they call the seducer and the anti-seducer.
It's fundamental.
If it's a psychological game, the anti-seducer is the one who just doesn't get the rules at all.
Precisely. The anti-seducer is, well, frankly, repellent, according to these texts. Because they're totally self-absorbed, insecure. They just can't shift focus off themselves. So they have no clue about the other person's psychology. None.
So they kind of barge in, they pester, talk endlessly about their problems, their needs, maybe push for commitment way too fast.
You got it. They're essentially trying to get affection by showing how needy they are.
Right.
Which,
Kills the mood instantly.
completely kills it. Seduction, in this view, is all about promising focused attention, pleasure, a kind of personalized fantasy for the target.
Right.
The anti-seducer offers the total opposite. They promise hard work, emotional labor. They're just clumsy, trying to force their way in instead of drawing someone close.
So the seducer is the mirror image. They make you feel like you're the only person in the world. Which leads us to the first big idea. These archetypes, these irresistible types,
Yeah.
cultivated roles. Right?
Highly cultivated, yes.
So let's start with one you mentioned earlier, the dandy.
Ah, the dandy. Okay, so their power comes from ambiguity. Think about it. Most people feel kind of stuck, right? Defined by jobs, gender roles, whatever.
Yeah, pigeonholed.
Exactly. Dandies seem to float above all that. They refuse to be easily categorized. And that's attractive.
It feels subversive. They play with masculinity, femininity. Their whole look is designed to be, well, startling, not just nice to look at, but different. It signals freedom.
And that freedom is what people watching them secretly crave. By being ambiguous, elusive, they tap into the observer's repressed desires, the wish to break free from convention. They're like a walking challenge to how things normally are.
Okay, from that kind of subtle challenge, let's go to pure fantasy. The Siren. These are the legendary ones, right? Like Cleopatra or she from Chinese history.
Definitely. The siren uses their appearance, their adornment, everything, to craft this image of a Kamala, like a goddess come down to earth.
Wow.
So the desire isn't just physical. It's the desire to possess something mythical, something almost out of reach.
Cleopatra's is the classic example here, isn't she? Maybe not the most beautiful woman ever, but the absolute master of spectacle.
Oh, absolutely. Think about how she drew in these incredibly powerful men, Caesar, Mark Antony, pulled them right out of their masculine world, war, politics,
Right into her world.
into her feminine realm. Luxury, amazing sights, overwhelming pleasure. That famous entrance on the Nile, dressed as Venus to meet Antony,
Yeah.
that wasn't just a meeting. It was offering him an escape into a living myth.
And crucially, she played hard to get right. Maintained distance, warm one minute, cold the next, made these powerful guys basically chase her.
Turned them into needy teenagers, desperate for her approval. That distance is key for the siren. It makes powerful people pursue the fantasy like crazy.
Okay, next type. The star. This feels more modern, tapping into that universal desire to escape, the daily grind.
Exactly. Stars feed that need. They project this glittering image, but they always feel elusive.
Just
distant.
touchable.
Right. Untouchable.
Yeah.
So people project all their own dreams and fantasies onto them. They imagine way more than is actually there. It works on the subconscious.
The source mentions Marilyn Monroe. Perfect example. Apparently, early on, people told her she wasn't pretty enough for film. So how did she create that star quality? What was the trick?
She built the fantasy consciously, developed that walk, that famous walk that was somehow both innocent and incredibly sexual.
That contradiction.
The very contradiction created this dreamlike quality. Her huge appeal wasn't just her looks. It was that strange mix that fired up people's imaginations. She literally manufactured a dream.
Wild. Okay, that brings us to a darker one. The Rake. Their power seems to come from having this reputation, right? For being utterly devoted to pleasure, to chasing the opposite sex.
The Rake is defined by insatiable desire, and that desire is infectious. They're also masters of language, but not for communication.
What do you mean?
They use words to flatter, to manipulate, to stir up emotions, to create chaos, really. It's described as almost demonic in the source material, like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, using words to tempt.
And the key tactic, which seems backwards, is that they embrace a bad reputation. Why would being known as dangerous actually attract people?
Because it promises risk, excitement. They need to be known for being uncontrollable, for flirting convention, that devilish component, as the source calls it.
Yeah.
It appeals directly to people who are bored with being safe, being conquered by someone known for being irresistible. Well, it can feel like a thrill, a secret desire for something a bit darker.
Wow. That's a pretty bleak view of human desire, people wanting risk over safety.
It's definitely a cynical perspective presented in these texts.
Okay, let's shift gears. We've seen the players, the archetypes. Now, what about the game plan? The actual strategies they use once someone is interested? This is where the psychological control really starts, right?
Absolutely. This is the playbook. And the first rule is approach indirectly. Create a sense of security first.
Why indirect?
Because being too direct too soon just puts people on guard. Raises resistance, suspicion. The seduction has to start sort of sideways, at an angle.
So you lull them into feeling safe, maybe act like a friend first, or just hang around the edges of their life? Appear harmless?
Exactly. You cultivate a neutral space first. Friend to lover is a classic path. Or just being a familiar, non-threatening presence. They lower their defenses.
Okay, makes sense. Then what?
Then, once they're intrigued, you introduce mixed signals. This is crucial. Keep them off balance.
How so?
Don't be predictable. Show contradictory qualities. Be tough and tender, spiritual and earthly, maybe vulnerable one moment, aloof the next.
So you're deliberately making yourself hard to figure out, like creating cognitive dissonance for them.
That's a good way to put it. You force their mind to constantly try and reconcile these contradictions. It suggests depth, mystery, makes you enigmatic.
And keeps them thinking about you, obsessing maybe.
If they're constantly thinking about you, trying to puzzle you out, you're already halfway there. You're occupying their mental space.
Okay. But wouldn't all this maneuvering seem calculated, suspicious?
Ah, yes, good point. That leads to the next step.
Yeah.
Disarm suspicion through strategic weakness.
Weakness? Why would a seducer act weak?
Because being too smooth, too confident can make people wary, like you're playing a game. So you cover your tracks, appear vulnerable sometimes, bashful, maybe even seem like you can't control your feelings for them.
Oh, right. Make them feel like the stronger one, the one in control.
Exactly. Make them feel superior or protective. The source uses Valmont, the Rake from Dangerous Liaisons, as an example. He'd use tears, look pale, act shy.
To make his calculated moves seem like genuine, uncontrollable passion.
Right. It transforms their sympathy or their feeling of being stronger into affection or even love. Your guard drops when you feel pity or superiority. It's like emotional camouflage.
Clever. And then
To keep them hooked.
Then you need to manage familiarity, prevent overexposure. You have to poeticize your presence and your absence.
So don't be around too much. Familiarity breeds contempt and all of that. Precisely. Remain a bit elusive. Alternate between being this exciting, intense presence and then pulling back. Calculated absences. Cool distance.
Keeps them wanting more.
And you associate yourself with certain things, maybe specific music, places, moods, poetic images. So when they're alone, thinking of you, they see you through this idealized haze.
You want them to build the fantasy in their own mind.
You encourage them to envelop you in their own seductive fantasies. It's about possessing their mind, not just being physically present.
Okay, that sets up the final stage perfectly. Creating real emotional turbulence, deep illusion. This sounds like advanced stuff.
Yeah.
And the source says, surprisingly, that a big mistake is being too nice.
Yeah. Niceness leads to boredom, monotony.
Yeah.
Erotic feeling, according to this view, needs tension, drama. The coquette is the master here, mixing pleasure and pain.
So you deliberately inflict a little pain, create insecurity, maybe even stage a small breakup. Why does that work? That sounds awful.
It creates this powerful psychological cycle. The lower the lows, you create the anxiety, the doubt. The bigger the relief, the higher the highs, when you switch back to being kind or passionate. This back and forth, this heat and cold, like Yang Kuifei, the famous Chinese consort, did with the emperor. It makes the bond incredibly intense, because now there's fear mixed in. fear of loss.
That emotional roller coaster feeds right into the next part, creating the perfect illusion. You aim for their secret dreams, right? The things they always wanted but never got.
Exactly. Their repressed wishes, their thwarted ambitions, adventure, romance, success, whatever it is, if you can make them believe that through you they can finally live out that specific personal fantasy,
Then they're hooked.
they're basically at your mercy.
Yeah.
But the illusion can't be totally unrealistic.
Yeah.
It needs to be grounded, but with a touch of strangeness, the uncanny, like a waking dream.
That hint of the unreal, the confusion between what's real and what's fantasy, that's the power. And to make this even stronger, the source says you need to isolate the target.
Absolutely. Isolation makes someone vulnerable. Physically removing them from their usual environment, their friends, family,
Why does that work psychologically?
it creates a sense of leaving one world and entering another, a special world created just for the two of you. They lose their normal support system, their anchors to reality. Makes them much easier to influence.
Okay, this is getting intense.
Yeah.
And the deepest tactic of all, regression. What exactly does that mean here?
We're talking about tapping into the absolute earliest, most powerful emotional memories. Often, these are unconsciously tied to parental figures from early childhood.
Wait, so you're trying to make them feel like a child again, triggering parental dynamics. How on earth do you position yourself like that?
By becoming that figure, the all-loving, all-protective, maybe unconditionally devoted parent. Think of Juliette Drouet with Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
She essentially mothered him, catered to his every need, made him feel utterly safe, like a child returning to that primal comfort.
Wow.
When you mix that deep, almost childlike dependency with eroticism,
Yeah.
you create an attachment that's incredibly powerful, rooted way down in the unconscious. It's very hard to break free from that.
This whole deep dive, it's been a pretty relentless look at how desire can be, well, engineered through psychology. It really strips away any notion of just natural chemistry.
And that's the final, really crucial point here. Seduction, in this framework, is fundamentally a mental game. It's about possessing the target's mind by manufacturing tension, illusion, and deep psychological need.
Yeah.
And it's vital. We end with what the sources say about desire itself. Its value just plummets, instantly sinks, the moment satisfaction becomes easy to get.
So the chase is everything. The moment you win, it's over.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
Desire needs obstacles. Some obstacle is necessary to swell the tide of the libido to its height. The seducer isn't just overcoming resistance, they're actively creating barriers, anxieties, mixed signals, precisely to make the final prize feel earned, valuable, intense.
So if that's true, if we naturally need barriers to keep desire high,
Yeah.
then it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much of this whole game is really about finding someone special and how much is just fighting against our own tendency to get comfortable and maybe bored?
That's definitely something to think about.
Indeed. Something for all of you to ponder long after we wrap up here.